Welcome back to another video. In this video, as it says on the title, we'll be looking at my team selection for round 4. The round has already begun. Uruguay just faced Namibia and managed to put them to the sword pretty well. Apologies for not bringing out the video before the round has started. However, I was waiting on a few team sheets. They haven't really come out yet, so it looks like we are probably going to have to do an updated team because half of my team, I'm not actually sure if they are starting. So that was the thinking behind it. Fortunately, the game today wasn't a huge one, Uruguay versus Namibia, but we'll see now if I've picked anyone from those teams. As always, if you do like the video, please like, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel. Also turn notifications on to not miss a video or a community page post like I did earlier today. So in the front row, I've picked some pretty decent players who have pretty decent fixtures, to be honest. So I've gone with Thomas Gallo, Cody Taylor and Angus Bell. So in the previous match, Thomas Gallo actually played almost the full 80 minutes. For a prop, I mean, that's pretty decent. He beat several defenders as well, which made him rack up a lot of points. And he also won scrums outright. That's also against Samoa, so we know that Argentina pack is pretty decent. And coming up against the weakest team in the tournament with Chile, I think he's going to run pretty rampant, to be honest. Only thing I see here is his minutes might be a bit scarce. Next up, a hooker, I went with Cody Taylor. So he is actually confirmed starting against Italy, which is another really good fixture. He played against France, however, only scored 14 points, but that was a loss, as we all know. He then didn't get selected for Namibia, so I think this Italy game is going to be pretty important for him. And also, I think Italy are going to struggle at set piece. I think New Zealand, even though their backs are probably the best in world rugby, I think they're going to want to dominate up front, just to, I guess, strangle Italy and show every team in the rest of the tournament that they have a decent set piece as well as flair players. And then finally, in the front row, I've gone with Angus Bell. Again, like Thomas Gallo, not confirmed starting yet, just because the team sheets aren't out, but he's had a pretty decent World Cup so far, and probably one of Australia's shining lights, if they have any at all. So they're more than likely going to be out of the tournament, but they're really going to want to go out with a bang in this game against Portugal. Portugal have been decent, but not ideal. Maybe it's scrum time. I think Angus Bell can probably win a few scrums, but also great carrying ability, as we know. In the second row, I've gone with two pretty cheap options, really. So I've actually stuck with Martins, who's not confirmed yet to start against Australia, but pretty sure he will be. He's their 7, and to be honest, top tackler. And then I've gone with Cornelsen for Japan against Samoa. So if you don't know Martins from Portugal by now, then you need to get to know, because he's the top performing second row in the game. First round against Wales, scored 65 points. Then against Georgia, scored 38 points. And he was actually my defensive king last round, so scored me, I think it was around 57 points. Against Australia, you expect them again to have less of the ball. And with a 7, they're going to be tackling, they're going to be getting over the ball. But he also is a great line-out option, so lots of points for line-out steals, but also line-outs won. And Cornelsen is quite similar, to be honest. So again, against Chile, 37 points. England, a lacklustre performance by Japan, 26 points. But did rack up 16 tackles in that game. So against Samoa, it's probably going to be even split in terms of possession. But that set-piece battle is going to be really key. And I think Cornelsen, he gets up in the line-out on defence, so line-out steals is a huge bonus for us. So in the back row, as you can see, I have picked a Uruguayan player. I did post this on my community page, but Ardao was in, didn't actually perform too well. He had got so many turnovers in the previous 2 games, but I guess Uruguay had more of the ball. He didn't see as much turnover opportunity. But outside of that, I've gone with 2 South Africans in Visa and Dion Fourie. Fortunately, I waited today to post this video, and the South African team sheet actually did come out just earlier on. And it was confirmed that Jasper Wiese is starting at 8 with Dwayne Vermeulen at 7, which is interesting. So I expect both of them to carry pretty hard, especially Wiese against, albeit a pretty weakened Tonga team. Now, my Dion Fourie pick might surprise some of you. Obviously, with the injury to Malcolm Marx, he and Marco van Staden have essentially been set the goal to play hooker. And in this game against Tonga, there's no Umbonambi, Dion Fourie is starting, and Van Staden is on the bench. So I do expect Fourie to get some good game time. Against Romania, he did get a try, scored 33 points off the bench, which isn't too bad. But now he's starting again against a weakened Tonga team. With that South African pack, I think they're going to run rampant. So I think this Dion Fourie pick could be pretty decent, especially with line out more tries, a big option. At halfbacks, to be honest, it was a toss-up between Cobus Reinach and Grant Williams, who is playing on the wing again for South Africa. However, I have gone with Reinach just because he is a try-scoring machine at 9. Even though Williams can pick up tries, I've just backed Reinach this time. Obviously, as you can see, Echeverri for Uruguay scored me 32 points. He got 2 try assists, which was pretty decent, but then came off pretty early around the 50-minute mark, which was disappointing. Could have picked up a lot more. In the centres, I have gone with your guys' opinions in the comments to pick outside centres instead of inside centres. So even though I picked Dante last round, he scored 2 tries but only picked up 41 points. Whereas Fiku didn't pick up any tries but scored over 50 points. So I think those outside centres just have a lot more room to pick up good points. With Hugh Jones hopefully starting against Romania, he's an absolutely brilliant try-scoring threat. And if any of you guys have played Six Nations Fantasy, then you know he's really sure for a try or two. He also scores great points coming off the back of that outside arc for that Finn Russell pass. And overall, a pretty good fantasy option. Then we've got Rico Ioane, and to be honest, look, we all know what he can do. Up against Italy, scored 38 points against France and 43 points against Namibia. I think he's just a shoo-in. He's starting at outside centre. I think, again, those outside arc breaks are going to be crucial for this game. Like I said, they are going to want to dominate up front, but when they do get it to the backs, they're going to run rampant. Then, for the outside backs, I have gone pretty much a bit of speculative picks. So I've gone with Darcy Graham as captain and Duhan van der Merwe. Obviously, Scotland are up against Romania. So if these two start, which I'm hoping they do because Scotland need 2 bonus points from the next 2 games to guarantee themselves a place in the quarterfinal. And also, I've gone with Mark Telea, who absolutely smashed it against France, scored 90 points, was rested for Namibia, but 2 tries against France in a loss. I mean, you can't say more than that. So, reason for picking Darcy Graham as my captain, to be honest, it was a toss-up, and these 2 wingers might not start for Scotland, so it might be that I switch them for, say, like a Kyle Steyn. Blair Kinghorn might also be a good option if he's playing fullback. I believe he's probably going to be rotated in a fly half. But Darcy Graham, he came on in the last game against Tonga and scored a pretty much wonder try. So he can just basically create something of nothing, and that's why I've picked him against that weakened Romanian defence. Saying that, on the other hand, you have Duhan van der Merwe, who just always seems to pick up points. Obviously not in that South African game, only 11 points, but Tonga, he picked up 91 points. Scored a try, got an assist, turned the ball over, beat a heckload of defenders and line breaks, of course, as he always does. So Van der Merwe is pretty much a fantasy GOAT, which I'm also swaying towards him as captain. But they might want to rest him a little bit for the next game against Ireland. So, to be honest, talking about it, it's pretty much a toss-up between those 2 Scotland wingers for me. So, there you have it. That is my team for round 4. I think some pretty interesting picks in there. Not everyone is confirmed to start, so there might be updated changes. So be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on in case that video goes live and you need to catch it pretty quickly. Let me know what you think of my picks down in the comments, but thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one. Good luck for round 4.